Ladies and gentlemen, SuckItUpUSA.com presents Suck It Up MMA Live. No excuses, no quit. With your hosts, positioned firmly in front of the control board, and out of the red corner, Tom McManus! Across the desk, and out of the blue corner, Larry the Professor Sheely!
All right, our guest this morning is Tom Ortiz, who's out of Arizona. He's a former wrestling champion who is now heavy into the MMA fight game. And we welcome him here on Tom McManus Uncensored with Tom McManus, Tony from Chicago, and the Professor, Larry Sheely. How you doing there, Tom? Thanks for your time.
I'm doing wonderful. How are you this morning?
We're doing great, Tom, and we really appreciate you you joining us. I know your background is wrestling. You've been doing it for 35 years, a three-time All-American at Arizona State, head assistant at Iowa State, and I know that's where Chris Bono has been. He's a good friend of ours and has been on this show, and now you're fully into MMA and promoting that and getting involved in that. Talk about the transition from the love of wrestling, which you still have, into mixed martial arts.
Well, first of all, I won't hold it against you that you're friends with Chris Bono.
We were hoping to slide that by you, Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
You slipped that in there. I was like, okay, I'll still stay on. I promised I'd do this interview, but like I said, I wouldn't hold that against you. MMA, well, I wrestled my whole life, and I had the fortunate, the infamous beer, God has a path for you, and fortunately for the MMA round, my wrestling coach was Bobby Douglas. He was also Chris Bono's coach, Bobby Douglas. Now, I remember Bobby Douglas always telling me different things that didn't really sound like wrestling, but it was from martial arts, and he had that background. And a lot of the drills he was showing us was all angles. You know how a lot of wrestling was motion, move, shoot?
Right.
He didn't teach that way. He taught angles. Grab your opponent, move him, then shoot. Angles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was like, this is different. But for MMA, that's the perfect type of wrestling. If you jump around, motion, shoot, in MMA, you're going to get choked out.
Yeah, no question.
You got to move your opponent. You got to punch your opponent. You got to submit your opponent, all within that. For a wrestler, the wrestling round.
Right.
So Bobby Douglas was basically teaching us MMA, wrestling to MMA, and as I see it.
Yeah, and so that
when Chris Bono came in wrestling, it was the John Smith era. He came in and he dove at my legs, and I moved and walked around him. I mean, the guy's 5'3", 150 pounds,
right.
He's a tank. And I remember Bobby Douglas said, "Son, you are built like a tank, wrestle like a tank." So that grabbing the head and pulling them down is an MMA. You can do dirty boxing from a collar tie-up.
Absolutely.
So all that flowing to MMA and the background with Arizona State, then severing down Try. And it's not a coincidence. Dan Henderson wrestled here. And now, if you look at it, Aaron Simpson wrestled Arizona State. CB Holloway in UFC. Ryan Bader. Cain Velasquez. And I recruited those three.
Wow.
CB Holloway, Ryan Bader, and Cain Velasquez to Arizona State. So with the process moving forward, it was just an easy fit. And as it came about. And now I'm in promoting shows. I have the World Fighting Federation.
Right.
We're going to do our 8th show in Phoenix, May 12th.
Okay.
How we got into that is my partner and assistant wrestling coach at the time, Al Fuentes, who does MentalChamp.com. He's a performance coach for Rashad Evans, and he's fully involved in MMA. How we got that was our wrestling program at Arizona State was dropped in 2008.
Right.
They reinstated it in a booster. Art Martori says, here's my money. We're back in.
Oh, okay.
So that's how, and I'm getting to the MMA. I'm tying in the story. So
Good.
Al and I were looking at each other and said, hey, man, it's a little unfair. This one man's paying for the whole program. we got to go raise some money. So we looked at it and said, well, look at all this MMA going on. Why don't we throw a fight to raise money for Arizona State Wrestling? So we started planning, putting together. We came up with World Fighting Federation. We're going to raise all this money to benefit ASU Wrestling. Mm-hmm. Well, when we went backwards and trying to figure it out, in 2009, in April 2009, him and I got fired.
Ooh, okay.
So we said, we looked at each other and said, well, what do we do now? And he goes, why don't we throw a fight and pay our bills with it, with the proceeds.
Yeah.
Basically, we'll donate to ourselves.
that's a good donation, huh?
October of 2009 was our first event in MMA.
And you're on your 8th one now, Tom? You said going into the 8th one in May?
We're going to do it. We've done 7. Okay. I did 6 in Tucson at Casino del Sol for the Pascuayaqui tribe, and I've done 1 in El Paso in 2011. 2011, we did 3. Our 8th one is May 12th at Salt River Fields, which is a nice stadium where the Diamondbacks and Rockies do their spring training.
Okay. That'll be nice.
That is fantastic. Tom Ortiz
well,
here.
I mean, you're down in Florida, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that'd be a great place. You put up a cage and create some, bits of modern. There's some ASU fighters down in Florida too, at Homestead. Patrick Williams.
Right.
He's trying to get in the UFC.
Okay, that's good to know.
MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, Tom Ortiz here with us, World Fighting Federation out in Arizona. Tom, why do wrestlers make good MMA fighters? I know a lot of it you got to get on the ground. How much is it, though, their conditioning aspect that most wrestlers, if not all, to be good, you better be in great condition? We were talking about that before you get on. Why do you think, as a former wrestler and a coach, why wrestlers make great MMA fighters?
In my belief, if you look at the wrestlers that are doing well, they're also ex-college wrestlers. Dan Henderson wrestled at ASU, ex-college wrestler. Randy Couture wrestled at Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Chuck Liddell wrestled at Cal Poly. Shea Sonnen wrestled at Oregon. Now, with the NCAA champs, none of them were, but the college wrestling, folk-style American wrestling is the best for MMA because it requires you to wrestle on your feet and down on the mat because you have to get up and escape. Whereas freestyle and Greco-Roman don't require that you mat wrestle, but all you have to do is stall on bottom and they stand you back up.
Gotcha.
So college American wrestling, folk-style wrestling, we're the only ones that do it. The rest of the world does freestyle or Greco. So the American wrestler is doing well because we're required to basically fight on our feet and then fight down on the mat to get up. Now, and that creates a lot more endurance requirements.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because you can't stall in college wrestling. So therefore, you're constantly trying to get that cardio up and constantly in different positions and scrambling around. Now, if you go to some old video and you watch Shamrock grapple with Dan Henderson, he submits him. Just because Dan Henderson did no submission.
Right.
Yep.
So what you do is you get this college wrestler and you start teaching them jiu-jitsu and the submission aspect. And you get this college wrestler and you start teaching them the striking. And so and then they already do the reps, and people will start wondering, how does someone like Cain Velasquez come along so quickly? Well, Cain Velasquez, as a heavyweight, when I trained him at ASU, I'd ask him to do something 10 times. He'd do it 20.
Right.
Not everybody like that.
No,
but that's
right.
his mentality, and that's the mentality of a lot of college wrestlers. So if you tell him, Cain, kick that bag 10 times, he'll kick it 20.
Yeah.
Nice.
He does double.
Well, anyone that wants to make it to the big time, you got to put in the work. There's no doubt about that, Tom, as you well know. How do you think Ryan Bader's going to do this weekend out in Japan against Rampage Jackson, fighting underneath the main event of Frankie Edgar and Ben Henderson? What do you think?
I think Bader's going to win. It also goes to the psyche of the athlete. You know, are you looking at Rampage of old? You know what I mean? Or Rampage now? And you got to also, I don't know the psyche of Rampage. I know the psyche of Bader. He wants to fight. He's an up and coming. He got kind of thrown in MMA early, winning the Ultimate Fighter show. He didn't have that many fights. But it's in its infancy, and you got to take, you know, the bull by the horns as it comes.
Right.
So, you know, he's growing and getting better, and he also has a new MMA coach in Tom Vaughn, who's been in the MMA realm for 20 years. And Tom Vaughn and Great Jackson, started a gym together in Albuquerque, you know, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They split, and now Tom Vaughn he's a great MMA tactician and coach, and that's who Bader has in his corner. I think that'll help in navigating against Rampage, who you know is going to come out throwing.
Yeah, he'll be bringing bombs.
If I had money, I'd put it on Bader. That's my initial intuition. But he's my kid. I want him to win.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But if I'm strictly unbiased, which is hard to do,
right,
with Ryan Bader, I still think he's going to win because I don't know where Rampage is at and wanting to fight. You know, he loves Japan, but he also wants to be a movie star. Yeah, you got to pick one or the other.
Right.
You can't do both.
You got another.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no question about it. You've got another one of your students picked up a fight this week in CB Dalloway, right? He's got a big fight coming up.
Yeah, Mayhem Miller.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great fight. It just matters mentally where CB's at.
Right.
Quite frankly, CB should crush him if he's mentally aligned and where he needs to be.
Now, do you still coach any of these guys? You still stay in touch with them? What is the relationship now that you're not, they're not under you in college? How does that work?
Well, they have a Muay Thai coach. They have a Jiu-Jitsu coach. They have Tom Vaughn as MMA coach. What I do is I see them quite frankly because I'll go over to their gym and I'll get someone. I corner and train Seth Baczynski.
Oh yeah,
the Polish Pistola. Fights 170. Got a fight coming in June.
Right.
He's in the UFC.
Right.
I grab him. He played. Don't laugh. He played basketball in high school.
Okay.
So, and he never wrestled. So I get with him and help him with wrestling to MMA.
Gotcha.
And how that performs. I'm not trying to make him a wrestler, but I'm trying to show him the tendencies of a lot of wrestlers because I know what they'll do.
Right.
And how to take advantage of wrestlers or maybe a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
Because that's just one aspect. Because Seth Baczynski also has his jiu-jitsu coach, who's Andre Maracaba from Brazil, black belt. You know what I mean? The best way for me to learn personally as a wrestler is to get submitted a bunch of times and realize I better really learn this.
There you go.
There you go. Andre grabbed me in because you want to grapple. I said sure, and I grabbed him, but he submitted me.
Hey, Tom, we really appreciate your time, man. We're up against a break, but thank you so much. Tom Ortiz with the World Fighting Federation, putting on fights out in Arizona, and going to help us maybe put some fights on here right in the city of Jacksonville. Tom, thanks so much for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, my pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank
there
you, Tom.
go.
This has been a production of SuckItUpUSA.com and EIGProductions.com. Heard exclusively on the Suck It Up Radio Network.